How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm great. I'm doing great. I I feel very happy to talk with you. I missed you I missed two times to talk with you. Today I'm great. I'm happy. I'm lucky.
I'm lucky too. I'm so thrilled to be with you on your show and to be talking about important things. And I really appreciate the opportunity. You've made all this happen, so thank you very much. I'm honored.
It's great. Can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. I'm Rex Sikes. I'm the author of a new book that's out called Life on Your Terms: Live the Life You Want. I don't know if you can see that. It's
Yeah.
available on Amazon worldwide. And I, for over 40 years, I've been helping people transform their lives by transforming their thinking, transforming their feeling, and their behaviors to be able to make their dreams come true. So
Okay.
it's been a wonderful 40 years.
Okay. Wow. Wow. What is your qualification? What you studied, where you studied, and where are you from?
I'm from the USA, and my background is in neurolinguistic programming and design human engineering. And I developed something called mind design. But I have a degree in communication and studied psychology, and I was a therapist and worked in different invest. I'm a master hypnotist and a master hypnotherapist. My background's in whole brain learning and accelerated learning, as well as the law of attraction. So I've been a coach, I've been a therapist, I've worked as a hypnotist, I work as an NLP change agent, and then I teach my own programs. I'm the developer of something called the Attitude Activator, which is a powerful program for programming your mind to be able to get unstuck and move forward. I have the Mind Design, which I ran all of my training programs go through what I call Mind Design, which is principles and practices for living a wonderful life, but it's also an accelerated whole brain learning approach to being able to incorporate the material that you want to incorporate and the changes that you want to do. So when I taught NLP or DHE or any of the related life disciplines, I also taught meditation. I'm a sannyasin, and a swami. So I mean, I do a lot of different things, and I'm also an actor and a filmmaker, and I produce and direct. But apart from that, I'm a dad first and foremost. That's the best thing in my life are my children, my daughter Sydney Anand, and my son Jordan Dion. And of course, their name means bliss and meditation. So
I did 70 videos before, and I think I'm I'm talking with a person who is experienced, who knows better than all these 70 people with whom I talked before.
well, I hope I live up to that. Well, that's very kind of you to say. Um, here's the thing that's important for me. For me, it's always been about integrity in my own personal integrity. In other words, if I can't do it, I don't want to claim I can. If I can't walk it, I don't want to talk it. I've always, since I was a child, I've always wanted to transform and be better than I thought I was. In other words, as a kid, I suffered, from I was an extrovert, but I was very shy. I mean, I could go out and meet people, but inside I was scared. And I was, as a kid, I was a performer, so I did acting and I did movies and I did a lot of stuff. But I was very insecure. I didn't like myself very much. And so I had my mom read me the Bhagavad Gita when I was 7, and I read Napoleon Hill and different kinds of books growing up. I got involved with hypnosis when I was 11. And I tell you this because it came from a place of feeling unworthy and not deserving, and feeling like a fraud. And so what became really important for me was to transform myself and to be able to do the things that I claim that I can do, and to be able to help other people do that very same thing. And sometimes we're better at helping other people than we are ourselves. I mean, that certainly is possible. But I've always had a high priority on being able to walk the talk and be a role model or a representative for the things that I want to do. Now, that said, I live the life of my dreams. I mean, I do a lot of wonderful things, and I travel, and I see people, and I do what I want, when I want, where I want, and with whom I want. And there's always room for improvement. And no matter where you are in life, it can be a roller coaster and there's ups and downs, but how you go through the ups and downs is the thing that I find most important. So I will end what I'm saying right now so that you can talk, but by saying if you consider everything a blessing, then everything is a blessing. So if you celebrate everything, some people say it's either a blessing or a lesson, and I go, no, no, no. A lesson is a blessing too, because you wouldn't have had it otherwise. So it's all good. It is what it is. And learning to accept and allow is truly the most important aspect of what I think I'm all about, is learning how to accept myself and help others accept themselves, to release and let go of anything that stands in the way from being our authentic, true self, our enlightened, our aware, awake being, and to do that kind of transformational work, not only for ourselves, but to make the world a better place by helping each other do that and uplifting each other.
How old are you?
I'm ancient.
I did.
I'm timeless. I'm ancient.
I'm asking this question because I want to know your contribution to this world.
Oh. Well, I've walked on this planet in this body for 65 years.
65 years, okay.
And I don't look a day over 19, do I?
Okay.
But the important thing is I started young. I started around 6 or 7 because I felt. I mean, my family loved me. I mean, they were fine. I wasn't in a bad family or anything. It's just that I I just didn't feel. I felt that there was more to who I was and am, and that I felt inhibited, and I needed to break free from that. I needed to release whoever this person was. And around the time I was 25, I had a crisis in my life and I've had a few of them. So it's not like one crisis, but that was a signifying turn where I said I can't live like this any longer. I'm going to die, and I almost did a number of times during that time. But I said I can't keep going the way I'm going. I have to change, and so that's when I really went. I locked myself in an apartment for 6 weeks. I talk about it in my book, by the way. But I locked myself in my apartment, said I'm not going to go outside and face the world until I'm ready to face the world, and I'm nowhere near ready. And so for 6 weeks, I sat in a chair and I visualized and I did affirmations. But that's when I discovered how to transform myself, and it was through the stuff that I did in my apartment that allowed me to go out and face the world. And when I went out to face the world, it wasn't like I came out like Superman going, yeah. I felt a whole lot better. I felt a whole lot stronger. I felt a whole lot more prepared, because I certainly couldn't before. But I emerged, and as I emerged, and every step I took forward, every step got better. And there were roadblocks along the way. There were obstacles to overcome. There were times when I fell and down, and again there were other crises in my life. But all of them have been part of making me who I am during this 65-year journey in this physical thing.
How many times you thought to commit suicide in your 65 years?
How many times did I think to commit suicide?
Yes.
Well, I tried it once, and fortunately, I didn't succeed. And again, I write about it in the book, but not that I'm going to say often, but not often. I don't know quite how to answer the question. There were times the time that I tried it, I just jumped out of a window. I just said screw it and jumped. I mean, I didn't think about it. I didn't go, is this a good or bad decision? But I swore. I used bad language and jumped out this window. And I was 2 stories up in a building, and I landed on my head. And I fell over and thought, crap, that didn't work. And I ran up to do it again, and I had locked myself out of the building, and I couldn't get back in to do it again. And but good thing too. And my parents were visiting, so they ultimately they locked me in my apartment, which is the apartment I jumped out of, but they locked me in, and that's when I decided I really needed to get some help. So there was the one time that and I was, again, this is when I was 25, but through my life since that time I've never thought of it. I mean, it's never entered my mind. Prior to that, a couple of times probably, but I always felt this. I always felt tomorrow's going to be better. I don't know what's coming. If I make a stupid decision now that I can't undo, I don't want to do it. And so there's always been an impetus in me, a reason somehow to live, no matter how hard it gets. And I celebrate this. I really do. I celebrate this part of me or aspect of me. No matter how hard it's been, no matter how devastating, no matter how difficult, no matter how lonely I felt, I've always felt that I want to live and that it'll be better. That there's a hope and that and I had a good friend of mine kill herself a couple of years ago. And I still think, you're missing all of this. You're missing the beauty of life because you didn't wait an extra day. You did something that you can't take back. So, and I lost a good friend the other day who died from a disease. So, you know, I celebrate life. Every day I'm alive and my children are alive and my friends are alive. It's a good day. And when it's time to pass, it'll be time to pass. But and I hope I'm like 6,000 years old because I like this world.
Do you follow anybody?
Do I follow anybody? You mean like a religious teacher or a, what do you
I
mean? What do you,
mean, do you follow anybody and you be yourself? Will you be yourself or do you follow anybody to be good human?
well, I mean, I learn from everybody. I read all the different religions and all the different philosophies I can. I meditate. I practice. I try to practice being a good human and being good to people and helping other people. Um, I don't. I don't. I'm not an official card carrying member of any um, culture, any group, any society. So, but I mean, I loved. I've spent time with Krishnamurti and Muktananda and Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Who I really loved was Osho and Satchidananda, and then there's Alan Watts and Joseph. I mean, there's Eastern philosophers and Western philosophers. I'm more partial to the Eastern philosophies.
Okay.
And Buddha, into Lao Tzu.
Yeah, and why I'm asking this question because
Am I in the
yeah,
dark?
no, no, you're no, you're not in dark. I'm asking this
Oh,
question because there are people who follows somebody and they try to be like somebody else. What suggestion you
oh,
will give to them? You say to be themselves, or you just tell them to follow somebody?
oh, very good.
And let me complete. There is a line in Hindi language. Sabko sunna apna karna. In Hindi, there is a line called Sabko sunna apna karna. In English, it is called as listen to everybody but do your own thing.
Perfect. Perfect. People always ask me, when I was with different, when I spent time in the commune or and lived in the ashram and things like that, they go, "Did you give all your money and everything to the guru?" And I was like, "No, nobody ever asked me to, and I never thought to do it." So, it's not to me. Um, I love what you just quoted because that's how I feel. You have to find out who you are, who your authentic self is, and that's not by following anyone else. It's okay to be devoted. I think in a sense that you want to learn, you want to listen, you want to be open, you need to be teachable. There are transmissions, energy transmissions and things like that can occur, but you never want to give yourself up to another person. Um, and become fanatical, and I guess in that regard, what you want to do is stay true to who you are, and just um, I think it was, I don't know if it was originally his or if I attribute it to him or whatever, but I heard Bhagwan say one time, I believe, he said, everybody wakes up at different times. So I was sleeping at one time and I woke up, and you might be sleeping now, but you'll wake up, and the other person might be sleeping. Everybody wakes up at different times, and where they wake up and how they wake up is different for everyone, and so they will always describe it differently. So if a person falls asleep in the garden and wakes up, they will see all these beautiful flowers and trees. If a person falls asleep in their bedroom, they'll see the walls and the painting. And if the person falls asleep, by the beach, they see the ocean. So the description of waking up will differ for everyone. And so I think you find somebody who your heart resonates with, who you go, I can learn from this person. Then you learn, but you don't want to be that person. You want to be yourself.
And you wrote a book. You wrote only one book, or you have
No,
wrote
I have
any?
I have other books, but this is the only one that I have out right now. The other books were self-published that I made available at different times. I may be releasing some of those, re-releasing some of those, and I'm working on two more books right now.
What is the book name that you showed just now?
This one,
Yeah, Life
it's
on
called
Your Terms.
Life. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Life on Your Terms. Live the
Okay,
life you want, and it's by me. Like I said, it's right now. It's available at Amazon.
okay.
It should be in all the markets.
Why
I don't
you're
know if it,
saying? Why you're saying that? What you're saying to the people who are seeing the title?
why. What am I saying? What the title means?
Yeah, why you're
It's kind of
saying
like,
that?
well, oh, because it's kind of like the question. We are so influenced by so many things. We're born into this world. I'd like to think that we're born in. We bring some, genetic baggage. Those are predispositions. There's nothing saying that because you were born in a certain family or at a certain time that the genetic stuff is going to happen. It may not. That's but apart from that, we're pretty much a blank slate. We don't have any thoughts. We haven't read any books. We don't watch television. We're coming in from wherever we're coming in, and we're occupying, this space. And from the second we leave the womb, there are people around us, caregivers, whether they're family or friends or government or whatever, who take care of us and provide. And we can't. We're like a sponge. We can't help but absorb what's going on around us. And it takes us a little while to see, and we can hear, and we can feel, and we can't talk, we can't express ourselves. And we didn't learn anything from reading a book. We learned it from being alive and having living people around us doing what they did. So if people were yelling, we heard that. We heard the tones of their voices. We saw the looks on their faces and the way they were, whether they were angry or happy. And as we grew up between the age of 0 and about 7 years old, we're really kind of hypnotically influenced because we don't have our brain isn't developed enough to make distinctions and go, well, maybe that's true and maybe it isn't. We just accept it. So we get all these messages, whether we're a good person or a bad person, whether we're loving and not loving, whether we deserve a good life or not, whether money is hard to come by or whether it isn't, whether we're uh, part of a group that's discriminated against or whether we're part of a group that's accepted and celebrated. We're either on the inside or the outside. We're either good or bad. Life is either good or bad. The world is, we get all this stuff at a very early age, and this becomes the kind of mindset that we grow up in. We have beliefs that we don't even know we have. They just come out. We have rules that we don't even know we have. They just come out like, you shouldn't do that. Well, why not? Well, because why? Well, I don't know, but that's what I've always been told. That's what I've always believed. And so much of it is non-conscious, and we have this. The amazing thing is we have this conscious mind that has very little ability. I mean, it's got some great abilities, but in comparison, it has very tiny power. But the power it has is the power to choose. It has the power to decide. It has the power to say, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be a meditator. I'm going to be a banker. I'm going to be a swimmer. It has the power to decide. And the unconscious or the non-conscious or the subconscious or everything else that is billions of times more powerful. And the subconscious mind is your friend. And a lot of people talk about sabotage and self-sabotage and things like that. Your unconscious, the brain, has learned to do what it's learned to do, and it does it from habit. It got exposed as a child. It's been exposed growing up. They say that our brains don't even fully develop until we're 40 years old. So, I mean, think about that. I have a daughter who's 21 right now and a son who's 18. Their brains aren't even fully developed. According to science, they're not even at the place where they can really make good decisions. So, I mean, and they can. I mean, obviously we do, but we're you got to wait 40 years for your brain to go, okay, I'm kind of done now. Now I've got it. Um, so the power of the subconscious mind runs habitually by what it learned to do. So if you think you're not going to be able to do something, or you're afraid when you try to do things, and your brain always operates that way. You say, well, I'm going to go swim, and then you go, well, I don't think I can. I've never swum. I'm bad. What the conscious mind is good at is saying, you know what, I'm going to learn a different way. I'm going to reprogram my subconscious so that it's because your subconscious mind will smoke, it will drink, it will do drugs, it will do all sorts of bad habits because that's what it learned to do. It's not being bad to you. It's doing what it learned. It's actually being good to you. It's saying, oh, you want to smoke? Okay, here you smoke. And somewhere down the line you say, I don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And the brain goes, but this is what you've always done. And you go, yeah, but I don't want to do that. And the brain goes, no, but this is what you've always done. And it's stronger than you are. So you need to align with it. You need to say, you know what, I have to find a way to work with my brain, to reprogram my brain so that I can do the things that I decide I now want to do.
Your
So
book, your book contains the constructive thoughts or destructive thoughts.
there's a very positive, constructive thoughts. It tells you how to overcome limited beliefs and overcome limited thinking and overcome limiting behaviors, how to stop and begin to stop doing what you don't want to do and start doing what you do want to do. So it's a very positive book. There's principles, practices, and methods, and you can study it. You go through it, read it again and again. And you'll learn more every time you do. I'm very proud of the book. I'm very pleased, and people are using it to change their lives. But here's the thing: if I put the book down on the table, the book doesn't do anything. It doesn't do somersaults. It doesn't do tricks. It doesn't fly in the air. It doesn't change your life. What's inside the book that I wrote can change your life if you put it into practice. If you do, it's kind of like if you said, I want to have a really muscular body like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have to do the exercise. You have to eat right. You have to sleep right. You have to, do all the things to get that body. You don't just sit in a chair and eat ice cream and go, I'm getting muscular day by day. So when you apply the material, and it's easy and it's fun, and it's the point that I try and make is, if it's hard and you don't like doing it, you're never going to do it. But if you find a fun and easy way to do it, that's the whole brain learning and accelerated learning and the mind design approach, then you're more apt to do it. And if you break it down into easy pieces, like bite-sized pieces that you can do, and you win all along the way, because winning brings more winning, success brings more success. The more we do, the more we become capable of doing more. So as you apply what you learned from the book to your life, you can transform your life and you can live life on your terms, meaning you're not living from the conditioning that everybody else is giving you. You're choosing because if you don't run your brain, everybody else will. It's kind of like you could either be in the front seat driving the car or you could be in the back seat as a passenger. And a lot of people live their life as a passenger in the back seat. They go wherever their brain takes them and they complain about it the whole time. And what I'm saying is, if you consider everything a blessing and you celebrate everything and you're filled with gratitude and you're in the front seat driving your car, you take charge of your brain, you can have an incredible life. And most people miss that, and that's too bad. And that's why I wrote the book, was so that more and more people can feel good and not feel the way I did when I jumped out of a window.
So you are saying that majority of the people are passengers and they are allowing somebody to drive their own car.
Sadly, I do think that that's true. In this world, we always talk about like the 1%, the 2%, the 3%, that kind of thing. The 1% have all the wealth, or 2% have all the wealth or success. The 3%. If you look at any field, like I'm an actor, if you look at the acting field, there's hundreds of thousands of actors, but only a tiny percentage of them make a living at it. If you look at Olympic athletes, there's plenty of athletes in the world, but only a few are Olympic champions. So it's kind of like most people tend to not do what's required of them to reach that 3-1% top of the chain. Now, the interesting thing about that is that somebody said, we try to climb to the top, and it's a hard climb. But when you get there, you find out there's a lot of room for everybody else because nobody else is up there. So you get to the top, you go, well, look at that. You share the space with relatively few people. Now, that's not saying people are bad. It's not saying that, and I always say people aren't broken. They're doing exactly what they are programmed to do. They're doing exactly what they know to do. But at that moment when they wake up and go, you know what, I don't have to live this way if I don't want to. I can live a different way. when they have that discovery, then they can pursue a different way to live. It's like some people grow up meditating, or some people grow up praying, and some people, because they grew up meditating or praying, they don't like it and they don't want to do it. But there are other people who've never done it, and then one day they go, somebody says, well, you could meditate and you could change your life, and they try it and they go, oh my gosh, you know. So it's in making a decision to do something different. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. You just keep repeating the same old things all the time, it's nothing's going to change. So if you want things to change in your life, you got to change some of those things that you do. And the easiest, the most powerful way to change is to change your attitude and your thinking. To become an observer of your thoughts and realize that they're there regardless of whether you want them or not. Now the question is do you think good thoughts or not so good thoughts? And you can watch both. You can watch the good ones and the not so good ones, and choose the ones that you want to have more of.
So you're saying that you're teaching how to drive a car.
Essentially, I'm teaching you how to drive a car. I'm teaching you how to drive your mind, drive your life, take charge of yourself so that you think better, feel better, behave better, and get the kind of results that you want. So if you want to have more money, you know how to get more money. If you want to be healthier, you can be healthier. If you want to be happier, you know how to be happier. And I'll tell you this, it is a huge principle that most people miss. If for example, you want me to be on your show, what did you do? You
I
reached
didn't get
out to
you. I didn't get
you
you.
you said you reached out to me and said I'd like you to be talk to me on my show, right?
Yeah.
Now, until you reached out to me, or until we met where we met, we were unfamiliar with each other. We didn't know. I didn't know you existed. You didn't know I existed. And
Yeah.
then one moment you went, oh, hey, I'd kind of like to have this guy on my show. And so you go, hi, hey, I got this show. I'd like you to be on my show. And I go, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. My point is this: you went first. You took an action. You did something different, and you got a hold of me, and I responded. So if you want somebody to listen to you, how do you do that? You listen first. If you want
Yes.
someone to respect you, you respect them first. If you want
Yeah.
somebody to like you, you should like them first. Who's going to like you if you don't like them?
Correct.
You know what I mean? So the
Correct.
principle, you want to be happy, and
Yes.
then you'll get more happiness. You want to be wealthy, feel like you're wealthy, and then you'll get more money. You want to be healthy, imagine that you are healthy now, and then do those things that contribute to that. You have to go first. You can't wait for somebody else to do it for you, because nobody's going to do it. If you wait for other people would be glad to it's kind of like, if you're not making your dreams come true, you're making somebody else's dreams come true.
Okay. And you have read a lot of books in your life, right?
I've read tons of books in my life. Yes, I, I, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great people and hang out with them, but I've also read books all my life. I mean, I have, yes, very
Uh,
lots of books.
and every book author have his own thoughts in his book, his own perspective, his
Right,
own way of seeing at life.
right,
And reading a book is nothing but you are experiencing his life.
right,
You didn't live his life, but you are experiencing his life by reading the words that he wrote, right? And you have experienced a lot of tons of people's of lives by reading their books.
right, right.
Can
Well,
I say that? Can I say that you are a collection of tons of people?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many different people who have contributed to my life, either purposefully, they knew that they were doing it, or unwittingly, or they were dead when I read their books. Yes, where you can learn from anyone and anywhere at any time. And that's the beautiful part about books. The other thing is this, is that when it comes to learning from somebody, or when you asked earlier about following somebody, you want somebody who will help you stretch in the direction that you want to go in. In other words, if all they do is coddle you and make you feel good for being where you are, which is fine, it's good to accept where you're at. But if you want to move forward, you need somebody who will help you move forward and stretch you out of your comfort zone. So a book can do that. In other words, if you only read the things that you agree with, or you only hang out with people you agree with, then you're not as rich as if you read a variety of different opinions and a variety of different practices, a variety of different approaches, because you want to go outside your comfort zone. Oliver Wendell Holmes said this. It's one of my favorite quotes. He said, "A mind stretched to a new idea can never return to its original dimension." So when you stretch yourself to do new things, to think new things, to be new things, to behave in new ways, when you go beyond where you normally would be, is when there's an opportunity for you to move in dimensions in ways you never thought possible, and to surprise and delight yourself all along that way. And so that's what, if you think increase and expansion and you think positivity and you move in that direction like a magnet, or you could think negativity and decrease and contraction, and then you would move in that way. So it's always a choice whether you choose. And I always say it's dog crap or diamonds. You choose either something like dog crap, but I don't want that, or you choose diamonds. And I always say be smart about it.
Writing and speaking in public is a extrovert's quality. When you came to know that you have a extrovert quality in
I'm
yourself.
sorry, I didn't hear all of the question.
uh, Writing and speaking is in public is a extrovert's quality, and when you came to know that you have this quality in yourself.
From the time I was a little kid, my parents put me in dancing classes when I was 3 years old,
Okay.
and acrobatics. And so I danced and I did acrobatics, did handstands and cartwheels and the whole thing. And
Okay.
I liked performing. And they put me in acting classes when I was 4. They thought it would expose me. They never hoped that I would do any of it other than as an amateur, but they thought it would be good to have that culture behind it, to learn some of the arts. I loved it. I loved performing. And I think the reason I did was because I would get attention for doing something that I didn't feel like I got otherwise. When I would go to school, I wasn't necessarily a very good student. I hated school and I didn't like being there. And I didn't really like the kids that I hung out with because I always felt kind of separate from them. But I could get on a stage and I did magic shows and things like that when I was a kid. I did plays and performances, and I was alive because I was able to pretend. I was able to be something and someone other than who I was or who I thought I was. And so that, there's the notion. I don't like the term "fake it till you make it," but you can pretend anything and you can master it. If you want to be a good juggler or a swimmer, pretend to be. Imagine yourself a good swimmer. Imagine yourself a good juggler. You always want to aim at what you can be or what you can become, and not at what you aren't. People try things and go, "I suck at this. I'm no good at this. This is bad. I'm not good. It'd take me forever to learn it." Well, right, because what they're doing is affirming that they're no good, and they're affirming that they suck, and they're affirming that it'll take forever, as opposed to saying, "This is great. I can make little bits of progress every day. I can get better and better. I don't know how long it's going to take, but if I apply myself, I know sooner rather than later I'm going to get better. I'm going to improve." So you want to open a door of possibility. And for me, speaking, I started writing. I do a daily blog, and I write every day because I want, and I've done that for 8 years now without ever missing a day. I'm sick, travel, no matter what, I write a blog. I publish it, which I'm very proud of. And I'm getting to the point where I'm going, maybe I should just stop doing a daily blog. But I wanted to be able to write. I wanted to discipline myself and have consistency. And anything that you do correctly, if it's juggling, swimming, speaking, writing, making money, being better in a relationship, being loving, kind, generous, anything that you do correctly, repeatedly, consistently for long enough will become a positive habit that you then end up mastering, just like all the bad habits are mastered, and then your brain will continue to do those. So it's learning how to have those habits and learning how to get to the point where do you drive a car?
Yeah.
You remember what it was like when you first started driving?
Yeah.
You
Sometimes.
you got a lot of stuff you have to pay attention to. and you kind of
Yeah.
talk yourself through it, and you go, okay, I turn the key, I do this, I have to do that, and then you drive, and it's kind of like apprehend. And then one day, after having done it and repeating it, you get in the car and you drive, and you're talking to somebody, or you're listening to the radio, or you're thinking a thought, and you drive, and you just go. Your brain learned how to do that and make it a habit so that you could drive without having to talk yourself through it. Now, you can talk yourself through it if you need to, but my guess is when people are driving now and they see a hole in the road, they steer out of the way. They don't go, oh my goodness, there is a hole in the road, I should turn. You know what I mean? Which is what you probably would have done, and what I did when we were first starting to drive. We went, oh my God, what, you know? So it streamlines. It becomes our brains. You know how to sit on a chair. At one time you didn't. You at one time you didn't know how to feed yourself, but now you do. And and that's the cool part. You don't have to think about it. As some people do, if they have neurological damage or they have a physical challenge, they may have to vary. I have a friend who is paralyzed, and he's learning how to rewalk. So everything he does is very deliberate. It's very time consuming because he has to consciously try to move his muscles, which you and I don't do. We don't do that. We just move our muscles. But as he's learning to recover, he's going through the process, and he's making more and more. At one time, he could only move his left pectoral muscle. He was completely paralyzed. Now he walks, and he moves, and he can use his hands. He's an actor on a TV show now, and they put him behind a counter so he can sit on a stool, so he's not having to move. But he an incredible. And I do talk about him in my book. I talk about his challenge in my book, so it's good to know. But he has to learn how to move and program his brain to do what it used to know, and re-educate it. And that's typically what we all need to do, is re-educate our brain. And when we do, we get better at it. And he's getting better at it. He's showing improvement that they never thought he would walk again. So he's doing it. He's proving them wrong. So you
Um,
can prove anybody, you can prove yourself. You can say, I'm never going to amount to anything and not amount to anything, and you'll prove yourself right. Or you say, I can make whatever I want of myself and become happy and healthy and wealthy, and then you can prove yourself right and do that too. It's always that choice, dog crap or diamonds. Which do you want to choose?
Rex, I want to ask you, I want to tell you what exactly you said just now. Being 65, you can easily say that you can drive, you can easily say about driving. But people who are driving in 28 or 25 age, the people who are driving their cars in 25 and 25 ages, they are getting distractions. There are people who are stopping them to drive their car. And car, in your words, car is not car. Car is mind. Mine. There are people who are stopping them to drive their own car. There will be distraction. There will be speed breakers. There will be uh, rain, rain, rainfall, or some natural disaster, or there may be people who are
True.
coming in front of the car. Or all these are the things which will stop and which will divert his direction of his thinking. And there are a lot of things which distract. And being 65, it is very easy for you because you have experienced all these in your life already. You can say that. But I'm 28, it is very tough for me. And you are also the person who came from the same age. You was at 28, 29, 30, and you went from this age. And I want to know what Rex at 28. I want to know that so that I can learn from Rex who was 28.
So if I had to tell you what I would tell my younger self at
Yeah.
25 or 28, I would go, you know what? And by the way, before I even say that, what you just said is very profound. What you just described is the difficulty that most people have. They could be 65, they could be 19, they could be 7, they could be 100, they could be 28 or 40. Is the distractions that come up, and the things in the world, the circumstances and the events and the people that constitute surprises. So you're driving down the road and suddenly an animal runs out in front of you. You didn't plan for that, but it happened. And so you either miss it or you hit it. I mean, those that whatever the situation is. It is true, and it's a great analogy or metaphor for the mind too, because we get distracted from pursuing our goals or from being the person we want to be. We set a life course or a purpose or a mission, and then we get occupied with trying to earn a living or paying rent or dealing with a relationship, good or bad. So we get distracted from the things. I would say to my younger self, when I was 25, I said, I can't live the way I'm living. I have to change or I will die. I tried it once, but I will die if I don't do this. I need to change. It became a priority in my life to be different to do things differently than what I was doing. And I realized that what I was doing was I was creating my own mess. I was expecting the world. I was expecting somebody to save me. I was expecting the world to change. I was expecting circumstances and events and people to be different. At the time when I was 25, going through this, a girlfriend that I liked very much broke up with me, wouldn't have anything to do with me. And all I wanted to do at that time was to win her back. I lost my friends. I sabotaged my career, if you want to. By that, I shouldn't say sabotage, but I ruined my career. I did all sorts of things. So my life felt like it was completely over at one point, and I had to build from up. And there are people who've done far harder things than I have, but for me, this was very tough. What I said was, I want to live, and I want to be positive. I want to get my friends back. Originally, I wanted to get the girl back. Could I be the guy that she would want again? And she had said to me at one point, you fell off your pedestal. I don't ever respect you anymore. You fell too far. And all I wanted to do is be able to get back on this pedestal. So I wanted to make myself confident. I wanted to make myself successful. I wanted to make myself happy. I did it for all the wrong reasons. I did it to try and win a girl back. And I didn't get the girl back, just so you know. But at what I discovered was, I don't want the girl back. I want my life back, and I want my life to be better than it was. And so what I told myself, or what I would tell myself, is hang in there, have faith, create a mission and a purpose for yourself that this is what I want to do. This is my vision for my life. This is what I want to do in the world. This is how I want to help or contribute. And stay true to that. The world will throw everything it can at you to distract you, just like when driving and there's the people and cars and traffic and holes and rocks and all this stuff. You stay true, you stay focused, you focus your mind, you focus your thoughts, you focus your heart, and you pursue your passion with the idea that I will make this happen. You can't say, I hope it happens, because then it'll never happen. You have to say, I'm going to do it, and you do a little bit every day that moves you closer to it. So let's say people say, oh, I want $1 million. And they go, I have no money. What can you do? You go, well, I need to make so many rupees today. How can I make a rupee honestly and legitimately? How can I make $1? How can I make, whatever the exchange of money is? What can I do today to add value to somebody else that they might pay me? And you do it step by step. You don't sit down at your meal and take all the food on your plate and shove it into your mouth at one moment and go, that was great. Now I'm done. You eat it bit by bit, and you savor it, and you enjoy it, hopefully, and you know that there's parts of it that give you nutrition and parts that you eliminate. And so this is what you go through in your everyday life. It's weeding out the stuff that you don't need, dropping it, releasing it, letting it go, not fighting it, not trying to do combat with it, but release, drop, and let go. And add in the things that get you closer to where you want to be, and to do it step by step, and to do it repeatedly, correctly, consistently for long enough, and then you make that a habit. So, and I didn't know this when I was 25. But this is what I've done through my life, and it's taken 40 years to learn it. But I discovered some things that helped me change immediately when I was 25 years old, from going from feeling totally broken and alone to going, I can begin to do this. And so you create hope and possibility. You say, I could do that. If I could do it, I probably can do it. And if I can do it, then the question is, will I do it? And you don't have to know how. You just start wherever your feet are. You just start where you're at. It's like if you want to go to a different city, you have to start where you are. You can't start in a different place. You start where you're at. start from where you are. So it's the same way. And then as you travel, you get closer and you go as far as you can see. And when you get to where that is, then you can see farther. You can't see over hills, you get that kind of, but you get to the top of the hill, then you can see. So it's step by step, day by day, a journey, and to enjoy every step of the journey. If everything is a blessing, then everything is a blessing. If you're grateful for all of it, then all of it is magical and it's marvelous, and life becomes an adventure, not drudgery. It becomes something that you're excited and captivated and fascinated by, and hidden inside every challenge and every disappointment is opportunity and a lesson. So everything is good if you accept that everything is good. It doesn't mean that if something comes along that bothers you, like I said, I had a friend that died. Grieving is a normal part of human life. If something bothers you, it bothers you. The key question is how long do you let it bother you? You allow yourself to. The other thing is I acknowledge it without validating it. I acknowledge it without affirming it. If I needed money and I don't have money, I just use this as an example. But I have money, I need $100 and I don't have $100 for rent. And I go out and I tell everybody, I'm broke, I don't have any money, they're going to foreclose, I'm going to lose my apartment or my house. All I'm doing is affirming that problem and making it bigger in my mind. If on the other hand I say, I have rent due and I need to find out how I can honestly, legitimately, legally, make some money. I wonder what I could do. Maybe I can talk to the landlord or the owner or the bank, or who do I have to talk to in order to get an extension? What do I have to do in order to be more productive or resourceful or positive? So that you don't let the problem stop you, but you find little bits and pieces of things that you can do that move you closer to resolving the problem. And so if somebody says, what's going on in your life? You have a choice. You can say, wow, I'm overwhelmed with debt and I'm never going to get out of it, which affirms the problem. Or you say, I got a situation and I'm exploring my opportunities. A lot of people might be challenged by this, but I'm finding, I'm looking into how I can be resourceful with it. You don't ever have to lie about what's going on, but you don't have to promote what's going on. If you don't like it, you promote what you want to occur, not what you don't want to occur.
And tell me about your family.
My family?
Yeah.
I have an amazing daughter. She's 21 years old, and an amazing son who just turned 18. My daughter is actually going to be 22. And I'm going to see her on this next week. She's coming into town.
Okay.
It's funny because I go back and forth to California, and because of what's going on in the world right now, I'm not traveling as much. And she's in California now, and she's coming back to visit. And she's graduating college. So
Okay.
she's coming back. We're having a graduation party for her. I'm going to see her for about a week. So the family is my daughter. She's an amazing, strong, wonderful person. I am so impressed with her attitude and an ability to get through things. And the same is true about my son. My son just graduated high school. We had a graduation for him, and that was marvelous. And he's now decided he wants to be an entrepreneur. He wants to go into business. Originally, he wanted to be a gamer and do development, but he discovered through a job that he likes to sell. So he's like, I love selling. I love meeting people and connecting people with resources. So he's exploring that possibility. Other parts of my family, they got two incredible dogs. They are Sasha and Bailey. They are the joy of my life, and they're actually my daughter's dogs, and she's been without them for a while. So we're gonna have a big reunion in about 4 days. So we're looking forward to that. And my mom and dad were doctors, and I have a sister who's an author and she's a couple years younger than I, and she just started stand-up comedy in the last year. She decided, I've never done stand-up comedy. I like to be stand-up. This is the kind of thing that I'm trying to say. My sister's an author and a producer in television, and she's done a lot of incredible things. But she's never been an entertainer, never stood up in front of people, never really talked a lot. And she decided, I want to get good at stand-up comedy. So she started taking classes, Now, because of the virus, she does Zoom classes where they meet online. They're not, at a place. They do Zoom comedy events online where they Zoom in and people, pay to watch comics. But prior to that, she was going to comedy clubs and speaking. I got to see her a couple times in Los Angeles, and I tune in on the Zoom things. She went from having no experience doing that at all to now doing it. Now she's done it for a short time, and she's starting to get featured in different comedy shows and comedy clubs, and making her name and known. And it was just something she went, this would be good for me to do. So if my sister could do that in her 60s, anyone can do anything at any time, at any age, if you just believe in yourself and give yourself the opportunity to do it. If you say, I can't do it, you won't do it. If you say, I could do it, then maybe you will do it. So then it's just a matter of saying, okay, if I can, what do I need to do here?
Have you thought the same when you was in 25?
No, of course not. When I was 25, I'll be very candid, very honest. I was an actor in Hollywood, and I wanted to be a success more than anything. I wanted to be a movie star, but for all the wrong reasons. I didn't want to be a movie star because I loved being in movies so much. I wanted to be a movie star because I didn't like who I was. I didn't want to be weak. I didn't want to be ineffectual. I wanted power. I wanted celebrity. I thought if I was famous, then people would treat me differently. Excuse me. If I went to a restaurant and I was famous, they would seat me right away, where now I stand in line. That kind of thing. So I wanted it for all the wrong reasons. Excuse me. And I had hoped. I kept saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If I don't have an audition, I don't know how to get an audition. So I looked at it as that I want to be a star, but I don't know how to be a star. I don't know what to do. I can't do it because people won't let me. The industry is, for example, on weekends, you couldn't go to auditions. So I can't go to auditions during the weekend. That sucks. And during the week, I couldn't go to auditions because they wouldn't see me. I mean, and so at a certain point, I'm like going, if I can't do auditions, I got to, my point. And so I studied acting. I got really good as an actor, but I didn't get good at somebody knowing how to make a career. So you can't just be good as an actor. I mean, you could, and maybe somebody will notice you. But today, and I taught this at the university, and I teach this, and I consult in this. Today, you need to know how to have a career. You need to know how to connect with people, create rapport, add value to a production, to be a team player. You need to do things beyond wanting to be the best actor or be famous. I had an attitude that was not beneficial. I had a screw you attitude. I will do this, and if somebody got a part, I went to audition and somebody else got it, I would be mad that they got it instead of celebrating that they got it. I was not meant at that time to be a star. I was meant to jump out of a window apparently and change my life. But because I didn't know what I was doing. It all came from a place of neediness. It came from a place of loneliness. It came from a place of I'm not good enough. It came from a place of feeling down about myself and feeling broken. And I didn't know why I felt those ways. I didn't care, you know. But when I got to the point where I said I got to change my life, I started to meditate. I started to do different practices. I started going to ashrams. I started reading all these books. I wanted to transform myself because I knew I couldn't go on the way I was. So the young guy needed to break. I'm not saying that everybody has to break down, but there's two ways to change yourself. One is through catastrophe. You know, something bad happens and you go, never again. I'm going to do this instead. And the other is through conditioning, like regular routine exercise to build your body up, regular routine exercise to build your mind, your heart, your spirit up. It's catastrophe. I prefer conditioning. It's a whole lot less painful, but it'll be whatever it is for whoever it is.
What is physical health?
Pardon me?
What is physical health?
What is physical health?
Yeah.
I think physical health is attitude. I think if your attitude is right, your health is right. And that doesn't mean that people don't have debilitating illnesses or challenges physically but there are people who can't walk who are incredibly healthy They got the right attitude. They're people with no arms, and it doesn't let it stop them, or no legs. It doesn't let them stop. Helen Keller was blind and deaf. It didn't let her stop her from becoming a force in the world, and for going out and even doing public speaking. She learned to talk. So I think physical health stems from the attitude. It's so your celebration of life. There are people who have suffered the worst, debilitating, horrible. They've broken every bone in their body, told they would never walk, and some of them are still in bed, but they celebrate life. And and then there are other people who go, "Oh my God, my fingernail broke. Life sucks. I can't stand it. This is terrible. I'm never gonna die. Oh, I'm gonna kill somebody." You know what I mean? And I don't want to make light of anybody's problems, but there are, and that's one of the things that we really need to do by comparison. Is if you're having a bad day, go help somebody else. Go help somebody who's worse off than you. If you think you got problems, if I think I got problems, go help somebody who really has problems. To help them to see a brighter day or a better future. Help them to get across the street or to get some groceries or whatever it might be. Because when you help somebody else, you actually do help yourself. You uplift them, but you also uplift you. And that's the kind of, this world has become what's in it for me. It may have always been that way, but it's what's in it for me. Can I step on the other person and make a lot of money and become rich? And we need to be gentler, kinder, more loving, more compassionate. We need to help the people who we can't help in whatever way we can. And if you can do it one on one, if you can do it one on 1,000, fantastic. I wrote the book. That's why I do seminars and workshops, and have programs, because I can't be everywhere at once, but people can take the material and they can transform their lives wherever they're at, in the world. And that's the cool part about where we are today. In the old days, you had to be local. If you wanted to be, with a guru, you had to go and be with the guru, you know. And
I
it's
I have born in 1992. Tell me,
1992.
yeah, 1992. I know I'm lesser than you. I'm smaller than you. I want you to tell me what happened before 1992, because I was not on this planet. You was already on this planet. You have seen things, you have read things before 1992. What was the world before
Well, from
1992?
the dawn of humankind up until 1992, we
No,
were
no,
preparing the way for Psi.
no, no. What is your birth year?
Oh, 55.
55. I want you to tell me what happened between 1955 to 1992, because I didn't seen with my naked eye what exactly happened. I want you to tell me in few words, in two
The
minutes.
world was preparing for the arrival of Psi.
Okay.
We were getting ready for you to appear in 1992. We didn't know your name. We didn't know where you were going to be, but we were all waiting anxiously, going, this is going to be a great event. And truly it has been, right? Um, I lived through the 60s. I would tail end of the 60s, as a teenager, which was the hippies in the United States. And then the 70s was this kind of gritty, weird thing. And then the 80s kind of became punk rock and discotheque and, weird stuff. And then the 90s, um, uh, it, I don't know that the world, I'm surprised in some ways about the world in this sense. There are whenever there's light, there's shadow. Unless you're out in the middle of the desert and there aren't any trees, but then it becomes dark at nighttime. So even though there's light, there's also some darkness. So I grew up in the United States, and we had kind of a boom when I was growing up in terms of finances and everything else, which has kind of steadily gone downhill. and it looked like we were becoming more peaceful, but we were very warlike, and it looked like we were becoming more racially tolerant, but really we probably haven't. So there's a lot of opposition, between opposites of peace versus war, of acceptance versus intolerance, and those things always go on. And I think what I try and tell people is, water is always noisiest before it boils. If you go make tea, and I discovered this running into the kitchen countless number of times. I would hear the water boil, starting to boil, and I would go, "Oh, my tea is ready," and I'd run in there, and it hadn't boiled yet. And I'm like, "What the heck? Why am I?" And then I finally learned that if I wanted to to be there when the water was boiling, is I hear it, and then when I don't hear it, I go in there because that's when it's become a rolling boil. And so we're at kind of, I think, where we have been and where we are today is we're in that noisy period. A lot of the atoms are bumping against each other, and this has been happening. It's been increasing from the time before you got here, and since you've been here, and not because of you, but you know what I'm saying. During the time that you're here, and that was a joke, but during the time that you're here, we've seen the world, upheavals in different places and things like that. It's all about awakening. It's all about the opportunity to awaken. It's all every time there's a challenge to our consciousness, to our culture, to our religions, to our philosophies, to our governments, to you and I personally, is an opportunity to awaken and to do something significantly different than what we were doing, and no longer perpetuate problems, but promote opportunity and solutions. So I don't know that I answered your question about what happened before you arrived, but
Yeah, you did.
okay.
Yeah, I want to talk with you more, but the video length already it's 1 hour, so I want to
Really?
talk with you. Yeah, it's 1 hour. Yeah,
Well,
I
we
thought
could
to
talk.
talk
We
with
could
you.
talk. We could talk again.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. We'll talk again. I want to talk with you more. I want to show you to more people who are living in India, who are following
Oh,
me, who subscribe to my channel. I want them to know about life, about different things in the world from an experienced person like you.
well, this is so exciting because my sister's been to India a couple of times and she loves it. And
Okay.
I have many Indian friends, and I've never been to India. So for me to be able to speak to your people, your country, your culture this way, I'm blessed. This is wonderful. I'm now in India. I am in India through Skype, and that's truly a marvelous thing.
Thank you. I feel blessed because you gave me time. This will be one of the best memories in my life. This one hour
Wow.
video, this 1 hour video is very valuable to me because I didn't live for a long time, but I had talked with a person who lived for a long time on this planet, which means I learned a lot of things in very small time. Being 28, I came to know a lot of information, but I have to know more. I know nothing. I know that I know nothing. When compared to you, I know nothing. I'm zero. But I want to talk with you more about different things. If you give me time, I'll talk with you about different topics. I want to know the
Yes.
answer for many questions that I have in my brain, and at the same time I want to show this question and answers video to my audience again by doing
Yeah.
with you. And I, like you said that you worked in Hollywood movies. uh, you have worked as an actor, right?
I have
Yeah.
one right now that they're trying to contact me, and they wanted me to try and work during the week that my daughter's home, and we're trying to make arrangements. I'm hoping that Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday before my daughter gets here is when they can arrange it. And right before you and I got on the air, I got a text from the sound people saying the director will be contacting me. So yeah, I still do movies. I mean, I still do that.
Awesome. You are a multi-talented person. And
Well, let me.
my request to you is, I'm just 28. If you give me an opportunity to talk with an influencer who who is from Hollywood, who you will be having contacts, right? It will be helpful for me, a young person like me. You will be the reason for my personal growth, and I'll be praising you every day if I.
Well, let me tell you two things. One is, first off, to know nothing is a great place to be. You have to empty your teacup in order to have more put in, and so this is a wonderful place to be. I don't really know anything. I think I do, but I don't. I don't know anything. But the point is that you at 27, 28, 29 years old, you have your entire life ahead of you. Appreciate it, love it, be blessed, know that you are, and that you're ahead of the curve for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are your age who don't have any interest in what you have interest in, or aren't doing what you're doing, and so validate that and pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, good job. This is great. Sai, I truly appreciate that. And then but what I want to tell you is, you're in Bollywood town, man. I went to the movie theater. This was a couple years ago, and it was a Thursday night, and we were seeing some Matt Damon movie. I forget, The Martian or something like that. And I think we were going to the 10 o'clock show, and I go to the theater, and hundreds of people in saris and Indian dress are coming through and I'm like, where'd all these Indian people come from? I mean, I'm in the Midwest. I mean, I'm like, where did they come from? So I asked the theater manager, I said, you go, are you kidding? We do Bollywood movies 2 nights a week, like Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's our most popular nights. We have more people show up for Bollywood movies than they do for anything else. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, it's really, really popular. I would love to work in Bollywood. So I mean, you're right there. I mean, but there's also the American movie market too. So maybe between us, we'll conquer the world. We'll make that movie stuff happen. But
Yeah, it
but
will
this
be
is
help. Yeah, yeah.
no. Go ahead.
Yeah, it will be helpful for me. I requested you, but still it is okay. But I loved talking with you. I came to know a lot of things, and this will be one of the positive and the greatest memory in my life. I'll put this
Wow.
video in my personal album. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you so much, and namaste. And I surely appreciate it. It's been an honor. You asked great questions. This has been a delightful time. I look forward to talking to you further on Skype, and maybe someday we'll even meet in person. But I really do appreciate this. Thank you so much, and you're providing a really truly valuable service and opportunity to your listeners and your fans and your friends and the people who follow you. So I'm honored.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel?
Yes, absolutely. And then can I get it? And if I could get it and put it on my YouTube channel too.
Actually, we cannot put the same video on two YouTube channels. I'll send you the link after uploading it.
But if we could I?
You cannot put the same video on your YouTube channel.
I don't know. I'd have to talk to the people who do my YouTube channel.
No, you cannot do that.
Oh,
If you
okay.
want, I'll do one more video for you to for your YouTube channel. I'll talk. I'll ask different questions
No,
in a
no,
channel,
we're
and I'll
good. We're
send
good.
you that video. Yeah,
We're good. We're good doing whatever we do. Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah. This is what the YouTube rule is. You have to put a video
Oh,
in only one channel. You should not repeat that video by putting in multiple channels. This is what I know. I don't know exactly.
well, that's interesting because I mean, if I go and watch like a show, I see a lot of people doing the same show and reposting it in different places. So I just assumed.
I have very less knowledge. I'm a beginner.
Me
So
too. When it comes to YouTube, I'm a total beginner.
yeah, I'll go through that. If that is possible, I'll share with you. I'll share you the information. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Again, this has been fabulous. You are marvelous. I really appreciate it.
You saying that you're an experienced person giving me a lot of compliments. I'll not eat food today because I already ate a lot of food that came. The food name is your compliments.
Well, you know what? Own them. Own them. They may come from me, but own them for yourself, because you're providing a service, you're doing something, you're taking action, you're making things, you're out there promoting stuff. Just keep making it happen. You're going to do it. You're going to do exactly what you want. Just make it happen. You can do it. I
Thank you,
have,
sir.
I have, I have every belief, every faith in you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time, and I want you to be healthy. I want you to contribute your knowledge to more people. Yeah.
Well, cool. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll continue to do it. We'll talk again. And yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead, share it, share it. I love it. And let me know how it's going.
Yeah, sir. I'll
And
I'll
we'll
share
and
you
we'll,
the link. Yeah.
and we'll stay in touch. We are ready. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much again. Yeah. Take care.
Again, take care. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.